Classic TV delivered unforgettable characters, iconic catchphrases, and stars who lit up living rooms across America. But behind the scenes, not every story was as picture-perfect as what audiences saw on screen. In fact, some of the most beloved classic TV actors walked away from their legendary roles for reasons fans never knew. From personal battles to explosive backstage conflicts, these departures changed television history forever. Stick around, because the real reasons these stars quit will leave you stunned and eager to discover which secrets Hollywood tried to keep hidden. Lucille Ball's decision to walk away from The Lucy Show was far more emotional and complex than the public ever realized. After decades of performing physical comedy at a relentless pace, Lucy began feeling the strain physically and mentally. Her intense schedule, combined with the overwhelming responsibility of running Desilu Productions after her divorce, left her stretched thin. She was juggling script approvals, production challenges, budgets, and meetings while still performing comedy routines that required demanding stunts, elaborate facial expressions, and constant energy. On top of this, she was dealing with the grief and emotional fallout of her split from Desi Arnaz, which made the work environment even more difficult. Lucy felt the industry expectations tightening around her as if she could never pause, never slow down, and never explore other sides of her creativity. Leaving the show wasn't an act of abandonment. It was an act of survival, a bold decision to protect her health, her legacy, and her future as a creator and producer rather than only a performer. McLean Stevenson's departure from MASH was rooted in ambition, insecurity, and a genuine belief that he was destined for bigger things. Playing Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake made him a household name, but behind the scenes, Stevenson felt overshadowed by Alan Alda's growing prominence. Hawkeye was becoming the central emotional core of the show, and Stevenson sensed his own role becoming less essential. He longed to be a leading man, not part of an ensemble where he feared he would be forever seen as the other guy. Stevenson also struggled with the show's structure. Filming could be grueling, the tone was shifting, and the dramatic episodes left him uncertain about where his character truly fit. Agents and industry insiders told him he was capable of headlining his own sitcom, and Stevenson believed it. Convinced that a wider future was waiting, he took the leap and left a secure hit for the unknown world of new pilot season. But none of his follow-up projects resonated with audiences. Years later, Stevenson admitted that leaving MASH was one of the biggest regrets of his career. A cautionary tale of how chasing the dream of being a star can backfire when the foundation you leave behind is stronger than you realized. Don Knotts, leaving the Andy Griffith Show, remains one of the most misunderstood departures in classic television. Fans thought he walked away for bigger paychecks or movie fame, but in truth, it was a heartbreaking case of crossed wires. Believing the show would end after Andy Griffith's 5-year contract, Knotts began planning for his future. He had spent years fully embodying Barney Fife, a character so beloved and iconic that he feared being typecast forever. So when Universal Studios offered him a multi-picture film deal, Knotts accepted, thinking it was the perfect time to transition into film while the series wrapped up. But then Griffith surprised the entire cast by renewing the show. Knotts found himself locked into his new contract, unable to return even though he wanted to. The emotional weight of leaving Barney Fife, a character he loved deeply, stayed with him for years. He cherished the show, the cast, the environment, and especially his friendship with Andy. Leaving wasn't an act of ambition. It was a painful consequence of timing, miscommunication, and the unpredictability of network decisions. Michael Landon's exit from Bonanza was driven by an artistic fire that could not be contained. After playing Little Joe Cartwright for more than a decade, Landon felt increasingly restricted by the show's formula. He wanted deeper, more emotional storylines that explored family, loss, morality, and humanity, themes he felt the show rarely committed to. He also had grown as a writer and director, crafting episodes that offered more nuance and heart. But producers often resisted, preferring to stick with the traditional action-heavy Western format. This creative friction pushed Landon toward independence. Off-screen, he was known for his intense work ethic, his desire for perfection, and his determination to shape narratives rather than merely deliver lines. He wanted control over themes, tone, pacing, and character arcs. Even though he loved his castmates, he knew staying meant artistic stagnation. When Little House on the Prairie became a long-running success, it proved what Landon had suspected. His potential could never be fully realized while confined to the limitations of Bonanza. Leaving wasn't a rejection of the show. It was a bold step toward the personal creative empire he eventually built. Sally Field's departure from her early roles reflected her struggle to escape from a Hollywood machine determined to pigeonhole her. Gidget made her America's sweet young beach girl, and The Flying Nun placed her in a role she felt was silly, restrictive, and creatively suffocating. Behind the adorable exterior, Field was battling an industry that viewed her as a lightweight comedic curiosity instead of a serious actress. She wanted roles with emotional depth, dramatic weight, and psychological complexity, the kind of parts that would allow her to grow. Instead, she found herself stuck playing bubbly, simplistic characters that did nothing to express her true talent. She also faced private battles with insecurity, heightened by producers who dismissed her ambitions. Walking away meant risking everything. But Field threw herself into intense method acting training at the Actors Studio, reshaping herself into the powerhouse performer she would later become. Her career rebirth, including her Oscar-winning performances, proved that leaving behind the roles that held her back was not an act of rejection. It was a declaration of who she knew she truly was. These stars didn't simply quit. They made life-changing decisions under pressure, uncertainty, and overwhelming expectations. Their exits reveal the fragile balance between fame and fulfillment, between staying comfortable and risking everything for something more. If you enjoyed uncovering the deeper stories behind these legendary roles, click on the link to keep exploring. Hollywood's past is filled with secrets that deserve to be told.